This weekend on CCX News, a Robbinsdale community fixture grapples with transit plans, what light rail could mean for a local church. Elam Lutheran Church in Robbinsdale is now considering its financial future. As Kevin Miller reports, it's concerned about a proposed Blue Line extension station stop.
This is the intersection of Bottineau Boulevard and 40th Avenue.
Elam Lutheran Church has been at this Robbinsdale intersection for more than 100 years.
I do believe that one of the greatest strengths of Elam Lutheran Church is its longevity here in Robbinsdale.
Pastor Dan Dorr says the church building expanded decades ago, but has become too big to manage.
A building that's 40,000 square feet that was ideal for the 60s, 70s, and 80s, but a bit too much for a congregation our size.
The parish plans to downsize, selling part of its land to a developer.
The development would be next door to us.
If the sale moves forward, about 170 market-rate apartments would get built.
It allows us to have the resources to right-size our building.
But a transit plan decades in the making could put that sale in jeopardy. The Blue Line extension is expected to run down West Broadway, right in front of the church. The project calls for eminent domain to take part of the church's land for a station stop.
With the light rail station south of 40th, in our current estimation, would get in the way of us developing our property.
Pastor Dorr is asking for design tweaks that can allow the church and rail line to serve the community for years to come.
It's with some concern and fear that we watch decisions unfolding.
In Robbinsdale, Kevin Miller, CCX News.
The pastor emphasizes his church isn't coming out against light rail, just the current design. He says some church members need transit because they don't own a car. Meanwhile, the Brooklyn Park City Council has scheduled a date for its municipal consent vote on the light rail project. The City Council plans to vote September 23rd. There is no provision for a city to stop the overall project. That power rests with the Metropolitan Council and Hennepin County. Brooklyn Park's vote is strictly on how council members view the project's design. During its meeting this past week, some residents raised crime concerns with light rail. Mayor Hollis Winston gave assurances.
I assure you, light rail comes, our city's going to be very active in that, and we're going to have a huge say in terms of how that's addressed. We're going to be very aggressive with that because we know how important it is.
Of the 12 stations planned for the Blue Line extension, 5 of them would be in Brooklyn Park. Next week, the public will get to weigh in on a new name for a Robbinsdale park.
I'm ending my term. It's been 2 years since I brought this up. I want that Sanborn name and the racially restrictive harm out.
Robbinsdale Mayor Bill Blonigan led the effort to change the name of Sanborn Park. Research revealed that the Sanborn family put in racially restrictive covenants when they sold land for development 100 years ago. 2 options considered for the new name are Castile Park, named after Philando Castile, a black man fatally shot by police, and Shoreline Park, named after the road where the park is located. Blonigan favors the Shoreline Park name.
A lot of people did bad things in their lives. Let's just take that out of the equation and name it after a geographic area. I would rather go with that at this point.
The City Council could vote on the name change at its September 17th meeting. Do you have jewelry passed down to you by family members and have no idea what it's worth? This weekend, we visit a Maple Grove jewelry store that's hosting an event where people can earn big money by selling old family heirlooms.
This was a beautiful herringbone chain.
Gems and precious metals are big business.
The goal is always to keep these items in circulation.
Just ask Kelly Sternow. She's made a living out of it.
This has been a fantastic year. We're thriving, really moving forward.
1 year ago, Sternow opened Croft & Stern, a locally owned and operated jewelry store along Main Street in Maple Grove.
Many people have come into this studio looking for a small business specifically. They want that family jeweler feel. It's something they maybe used to have.
Sternow says there's a good reason for customers seeking out that family feel. That's because they may have family jewelry passed down from generations.
Antique and estate pieces.
Sternow says her business is one of the only places places in the Northwest Metro that sells antique jewelry, defined as pieces that are more than 100 years old. Estate jewelry is also sold here.
Not only do we think estate jewelry is super cool, it's absolutely beautiful. The craftsmanship is amazing.
In fact, they think estate jewelry is so cool, they'd like to talk to anyone who may want to sell such a thing.
If you have family heirlooms that maybe are just collecting dust in a closet, you don't really know what to do with it, that's what they're here for.
Croft & Stern is hosting an event where buyers will look at people's jewelry and offer money on the spot.
This is really set up to promote sustainability and to capture those items to resell them to other people who would be interested in those heirlooms.
Gold, silver, and platinum jewelry, even antique watches, can have significant value.
So if you had pocket watches that were still running or still working, that is ideal, but not necessary.
A full set of sterling silver silverware, for example, could fetch upwards of $1,000.
Absolutely.
The goal would be to sell these estate pieces to people who would use them. After all, why buy new when slightly used will do?
You get money for them that would be appropriate for the value, and then you can rest assured that someone else is actually going to be able to enjoy those pieces.
That event, hosted by Croft & Stern, is September 17th through the 19th. Anyone interested in selling their antique jewelry would need to make an appointment online. We have that link at ccxmedia.org.
Coaches, teammates, and parents certainly have a big hand in making each individual's high school student-athlete experience a memorable one. But in this week's CCX Sports Spotlight, Chaz Moots turns the focus to a figure at Wayzata High School who's been a driving force in making sure things run smooth at Trojans athletic events.
At a Wayzata High School girls lacrosse game, the familiar face of Dan Zrust,
I don't know who's even,
or better known as Z, make sure that all is in order before the game begins, stays in order throughout the contest, and afterwards, quietly behind the scenes, is the last one shutting things down.
as they say, I still have a key to the lock, so I can open the stadiums up. I can lock everything up at the end. It's just a fun activity. It keeps you busy.
Dan is a site manager at Wayzata High School. Trojan Activities Director Megan Potter
just invaluable for everything that he does for us.
knows that people like Dan don't grow on trees.
Unique in the sense that he truly wants to put 100% into everything he does here to make Wayzata a better place.
For 34 years, Dan taught and was the swim coach at Wayzata. When he retired in 2008, he wanted to stay busy and stay involved in high school athletics.
If I'm not doing soccer or football in the fall, I'm refereeing a girls' swim meet somewhere. People ask, well, what's in the swim meet official? If you watched the Olympics, in the background you heard that person say, take your mark, beep. That's what I do.
When Dan's not in the pool or behind the wheel at a Wayzata athletic event, you can find him behind a different wheel. One that's got a little more horsepower than his cart at Wayzata.
Super comp, super street, and super gas. Where those cars go,
Dan is a professional drag racer traveling around the country to compete in national events, including the Lucas Oil NHRA Nationals at Brainerd International Raceway.
Doing the coaching, I had a little money on the side, and we started out with a 1968 Camaro, and we just bracket raced at a local track. If you broke it, you'd hoping you could get a tow home.
Dan makes sure all is in order before the race begins.
So the whole valve train is under here, all the rocker arm assemblies and everything.
Then hopes everything stays in order throughout the 9-second race. And afterwards, he again is the last one shutting things down.
Back in the day, I remember, I'd leave school at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I'd drive all the way to Topeka, Kansas. I'd get there at 2 o'clock in the morning, race that weekend, depend upon when you're eliminated. drive all the way back and try to be back in school on Monday.
The challenge provided in every race has kept Dan coming back for 50 years. That and the people he's met.
Part of this thing is the racing. Part of it is all the friendships that you make across the country, too.
It shouldn't be a surprise then on what Dan's response was to what he enjoyed most about being a swim coach.
Oh, the kids. The swimmers and divers are a great group of students.
He always goes out of his way to make sure that people feel okay and that they are welcomed and that they're a part of everything or part of something.
As for when the brakes will bring Dan's hobbies to a full halt, the last turn is in sight.
At some point, probably not in the far future, I'm gonna probably have to hang it up. But I got buddies in their late 70s that are still racing that are older than me. I got a buddy that's 82, he doesn't look 82. Like I said, I think the best thing a person can do, no matter how old they are, is still stay busy.
Busy behind both wheels. In Plymouth, Chaz Moots, CCX Sports.